Yeah, this was a mess. This is probably one of the worst things that I've seen with regards to a church in a long time. And I don't mean just what's happening. I'm not talking about the circumstances. I'm talking about this. Look, this is a mess, and this is the church. Welcome to the Church Dropout channel. This is another edition of It Is What It Is. My name is Alan. I'm the host, and please like and subscribe. If you have not already, drop a comment below. Keep the conversation moving forward. Please continue to support the channel. Thank you so much for those of you who do and have, and all of that good stuff. So I want to talk about a documentary that I saw that really honestly was the most grieving, damning. It was horrible. It really was horrible. Not the documentary itself, but what it displayed. And I think if you want to know the issues that the church faces today, that this is a great case study as it relates to how the church has gotten off track, how the church has forsaken its essence, how the church has become a corporate entity and not a living organism that is meant to do work in the world, but is now more committed and established, it's more committed to the establishment of a building in a community rather than the people of God working towards the reconciliation of the world. This documentary really highlighted that. And the sad part is that when the documentary was made, it was meant to be a piece to expose the pastor of this particular community. And it had the opposite effect, in my opinion. It exposed the issues with modern day church and evangelicalism as a whole. And I'm not saying that this is happening in every church. I'm just saying that the corporate mindset of community, man, this is an example of what it does. It kills a community. This documentary was not about Jesus. And so let me just tell you a little bit about the documentary itself, now that I've done given you all my 2 cents. But the documentary was on David Platt, who is a popular pastor. Not so much popular as he was some time back. He wrote a book called, he's big on missions and all of that type stuff, but he wrote a book called Radical that was a pretty popular book. I had read it at the time, but it was a book on, following Jesus and shedding the American gospel, and, brought him some fame, some popularity. Like I said, he's big on missions. He was over a couple of missionary boards, very involved with the SBC. And he took over a church called McLean Bible Church, I believe in Virginia. And ever since he took over the church, there's been turmoil. And a lot of the turmoil has been around what type of teachings he's bringing in, CRT, all types of stuff like that. And the people were just like, this is creeping into our church and different things of that sort. And then the bigger issue was the money, that there was money being funneled to the SBC, and the money was being funneled to the SBC. They didn't want to be a SBC church, and they ended up being affiliated with the SBC church. And was David Platt telling the truth when he said they weren't, when they actually were, and they were having members who were being kicked out, escorted out, all types of stuff was happening with this particular church. They installed a new pastor, a young black guy, as the lead pastor of the church. That caused many issues because they felt like they were going down a whole different path, moving away from conservative evangelicalism and fundamentalism and all of this type stuff. And it's a mess. And so there is now a legal dispute between the people and the leadership and the church, and it's become this big mess. And this started a few years ago, and it's been continuing ever since, but the documentary just came out, I think yesterday or the day before yesterday. And I'll drop all the information below where you can actually go check out the video. But that's the gist of it. And this documentary was meant to expose David Platt and expose him for his wrongdoing in the church. And to be honest with you, there are some issues that are there with his leadership, and some issues that are there with regards to what was happening within the church. But I think overall, when you look at the documentary, if you're looking at it from a perspective where you don't have anything vested in these, I don't know. I don't even know how to say this. Like, I don't know if when you look at the documentary, you will see that this church community, and I only say church because that's what they call themselves, and I don't mean like they're not. Anyway, this church community this is a corporate structure. And this is what happens when the church goes corporate. This sounds like a bunch of people who have invested in a corporation, and now the corporation is not moving in the direction that they want it to go. There is secrecy from the organization and the heads of that organization and the leaders of that organization, who feel like they have the power to move the corporation in the direction that they want to go. And there's a war. And none of this has anything to do with the gospel. It has to do with preserving the legacy of what this corporation was before. It has to do with these harmful ideologies that this corporation stands for. It's just crazy. And the reason why I'm saying it that way is because you would think that this is a business. You would think that this is a corporation. I mean, when I explain it that way, it just sounds like, yeah, this is what happens in corporations when people turn, when people don't feel like the company's moving in the same direction that the board wants it to go. And, shareholders, sue the board and the leadership and all type. This is no different. This is what happens when the church loses focus on this mission. It becomes a organization. It becomes a corporate organization that's committed to the establishment of a corporation rather than the work that needs to be done in the world. And man, and you get it. And it just makes, and in all honesty, I just felt like, man, I was like, man, this is the church. Like, this is what people see. You know what I mean? Like, it just made the church look bad. Now, let me say this, because I don't want to seem insensitive to the people who are hurt by this. There were definitely other situations in there where there were some abuses that really affected the lives of individuals in a very deep way, and those things need to be resolved. That's why I said this is not so much about, this video I'm doing is not so much about the situation itself as much as, again, if you want a case study on what the church looks like when it goes off the rails, this is it. Like, when you want a case study of what the church looks like when it's a corporate entity and Jesus is a silent partner, this is what happens. And so I do want to say, praying for those who are involved. I think there are some people who are deeply hurt by this, who have been ran out of their church, people there is also situations with SA and all types of stuff that are going on, however, and cover up. This was a mess. This is probably one of the worst things that I've seen with regards to a church in a long time. And I don't mean just what's happening. I'm not talking about the circumstances. I'm talking about this. Look, this is a mess, and this is the church. Like, this didn't come out looking like what they thought it was going to come out looking like. This didn't come out as something that was going to show, like Dave Platt is a horrible guy. And I'm not saying he isn't, and I'm not saying it didn't show that. What it did do, in addition to that, I guess you would say, is that it just showed the church. It just showed what the church is focused on today. It just showed the situation and the issues that the church faces. And this is why people are walking away. This is why people can't do it anymore. And I'm not saying that this is everywhere. I'm not saying that this is every situation, but I can guarantee you some of the things that you see here are happening in other churches. The secrecy, the affiliations with, certain denominations, monies going back and forth, not necessarily knowing where those monies are actually, going, hierarchy, where, there's no accountability for the leadership community or anything like that. The lack of pastoral care. You got someone who's preaching every week, but you don't have any relationship. You can't get to this person. You don't know this person. You don't have any type of understanding of who they are outside of what they're teaching you. Celebrity pastorism, popular preachers who have names, who are able to sustain a community because they have a name. Churches wanting to hire celebrity pastors because, they can keep the movement, moving forward. And then the whole corporate mentality, the corporate mentality. It's just sad to say, but this was like a corporation wanting to remove its CEO. That's what it sounded like. This was not about a church. I swear, if you just substitute church for any corporation in this particular scenario, that's what you would have. And so it was difficult to watch. And so I'll drop the information below. You guys take a look at it. Tell me what you think. Again, prayers to those who are involved with this, because there are a lot of people who are hurt by this, specific situation. But yeah, this was not good, in my opinion. This was just not good. So like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment below. Keep the conversation moving forward. Talk to you soon. God bless.